Green Bay is a small town, only 100,000 people. Green Bay is a small town, only 100,000 people. Those 100,000 people may be different in many ways, but there's one thing that brings them all together. The Green Bay Packers. In Titletown, the blue-collar city only knows hard work, tailgating, championships, but more importantly, they know family.
We have a saying in this town: faith, family, and the Green Bay Packers are all that you need. Sanjay and I grew up in Green Bay. You could say that we are Green Bay, or even better, the voices of Green Bay. We bring a local feel of Packer fandom to a worldwide audience.
Friendship, family, and football.
Ladies and gentlemen,
This is the Freezer Podcast. What is up? We are back. This is the Freezer Podcast, where we bring you a local field Packer fandom to a worldwide audience. I'm Sanjay, and alongside me, like always, is Fred and Matt. Hopefully, Fred's figured out his crap, but here we are. We are 1-0, the Green Bay Packers, under the Jordan Love era, under the Matt LaFleur and Jordan Love era. Hey, you know what? It's under the Brian Gutekunst era. How about that? How about that, folks? We see all of his little, I don't know, they're not his babies, but like
droppings?
Maybe his little trinkets, maybe, I don't know, but this is all one grand scheme coming together, and it's really beautiful when it comes out. Now, I'm not going to get ahead of myself. It's the Chicago Bears. They are a dog shit franchise. Let's just be honest. This is not a good franchise. They just don't know how to get it right. That fan base is absolutely delusional. We've seen it all offseason, and it came to fruition on Sunday. But again, it was nice to see a lot of things, even when we didn't play that great. There was a lot of sloppiness in the game or whatever, but it was still nice to see the victory, at the end. So a really great start to the season. I love that we didn't lose. I feel like every year we always have a loss for the first game under Rodgers. I felt like that was kind of a thing. Not no more. We got to win right away, so that's good. But before we get into it, Fred, Matt, there is a little bit of somber news that I don't even know if somber is the worst word. Maybe devastated. Maybe, I don't even know. Whatever you guys want to put as your adjective. We all saw it last night. Aaron Rodgers goes down. We found out today Achilles out for the year. As former, lovers of the guy and his craft and his magic and the fact that he ran our franchise basically for the last 17, 18 years, you feel for the guy in the sense of, okay, you don't want it for any player to get an injury, obviously, at the first, few plays of the game, let alone your iconic quarterback that's going to go get his number retired in your stadium. So all in all, like, that was just the worst thing to see, especially for Jets fans, more so than Packer fans. But obviously, yes, then there's the other side of it where we do now officially lose our first round pick. It goes to a second round pick. But more importantly, it is the injury. Fred, your thoughts? Obviously, everybody kind of saw it first. You're kind of like just in disbelief, and you're like, that can't be. He's getting up, right? All right. Or he already got up. He's not going to go back down. He goes back down. Obviously, you're just like, what is he thinking at that moment? Fred, your thoughts right away when you see the play.
I didn't see the play.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
I don't have any thoughts.
Well, through the replays and all the things on Twitter.
So, all right, let me preface everything, and then I'll kind of go on a little rant here, and then I'll let Matthew jump in. So my whole thing going into last night's game was I didn't want to watch it, right? Just like Hard Knocks, didn't want to watch it.
Why though? Hey, give us a why.
I know.
On that.
Okay, so here's the thing is, and I don't know why, and maybe it's not right, maybe it's kind of ridiculous here, but it's like that, maybe I don't want to see him be great. I don't want to see him be really, really great. I want to see him be great, but I don't want to see him go win a Super Bowl without us. I don't want him to go win an MVP without us. So like, there's this fear of like, okay, even if we have a decent season and he has a great season, the rhetoric is always going to be, but Aaron Rodgers, but Aaron Rodgers, but Aaron Rodgers. We saw how this whole preseason, the whole offseason has been an absolute slurp fest for Aaron Rodgers. And maybe that's rightfully so. He went to New York. I get it. So I've just been,
and they haven't seen a guy like this in a long time,
for sure. And listen, I feel for New York in this situation. I truly do, because my gosh, it's like you finally get something beautiful, shiny, wonderful, and you lose it. Maybe that's karma coming back on the New York people for being
The
turds.
TikToks have been quite glorious. Sad, but
So here's the
glorious.
thing. So I wasn't super comfortable watching it. It was more or less just kind of my own thing. I kind of steered clear of it. I had Charlie at hockey, so it kind of worked out beautiful. And then I literally stepped out of the ice rink, saw your message, which I believe said, this O-line is trash. And then I saw a message that said, I think he got knocked down 3 times. And then I saw the next message was, he's down. And I thought, oh, he's getting his butt kicked. They have a terrible offensive line. I get it. Which then I got home, turned the game on quickly because I do want to watch it. It just with some tender heart. And tender heart, that's the way to put it. And I see Zach Wilson starting, and I'm like, whoa, wait, what happened? That's when I text you guys. I see it. I hate injuries, right? I'm not ever a guy who's going to be excited about injuries. It's an absolute travesty for his talent to not be a part of this season, right? Because he is a fun, incredibly awesome quarterback to watch. It's going to be a bummer. I feel for New York. I feel for Aaron a bit. I feel for the whole NFL because they had this whole plan to just go all Aaron Rodgers all year, right? That guy could have had his worst statistical season. He probably still would have won MVP because it's what everybody wanted. That being said, I'm not upset about losing the first round and getting a second round pick. I shelf that. That's not a big deal for me. It's still a pick. It's still great. I know a first round pick's better, but let's back end that with the fact that Jordan Love gets to play this entire season without the Aaron Rodgers rhetoric of, did he have a better week than Rodgers? How did Rodgers do? But Rodgers would have done that. But did Jordan Love do that? Jordan Love threw 2 interceptions. Aaron Rodgers threw 1. Jordan Love only threw for 200 yards. Aaron Rodgers threw for 300 yards. Jordan Love is 2-5. Aaron Rodgers is 3-4. Like, it would have just been an absolute constant comparison. And I'm going to shout out one of my buddies, Eric from work, because he did tell me, he goes, well, maybe that actually put a chip on Jordan Love's shoulder. So I do agree with that part. But Jordan Love would have just never had the chance. Like, maybe he can breathe a little bit now. Maybe he can say, all right, now I just get to go play. We're going to probably deal with this Aaron Rodgers hoopla for about another month, and then it's going to get forgotten. And maybe that allows him to just play more freely, a little bit more relaxed, without having to constantly look over his shoulder and think, what did Aaron Rodgers do last night, today, whatever. So that's where I come from.
Can I ask a question about that Jordan Love thing real quick?
Please.
So do you think, based on his youth and based on the youth of this entire team, do you even think he's even that kind of petty of a person that he would need to need that kind of justification? Like, maybe he's just like, look, that old ass is out. Like, now it's my freaking show. Like, I've been just, like, maybe he's above that. Maybe, I don't know.
And that's I think exactly what my coworker was bringing up, was maybe he doesn't think like that. Maybe that's just you, bro. And I was like, you know what? That's probably true. I probably will give you that. But let's be realistic, right? In any situation, right?
Right.
You get dumped by a girl and she starts going out with another guy. You're constantly like, well, what did that guy do better? What's he doing better? How is that different? You lose a promotion to another guy at your job and you're thinking, well, what did he do better? How is he better? What's going on? So he's always going to have to sort of live up to the expectation of Aaron Rodgers, as did Aaron Rodgers for Brett Favre. So I don't think it's impossible. What I will say about Jordan Love is that, and we saw this on Sunday, absolute composure and poise within the pocket. And he just seems like he kind of has that Aaron Rodgers feel of like, hey, I don't really care. I'm just going to go play football. And that's that. So all in all, super bummed that he's hurt because he's an absolute talent. I feel a little bit for New York, but I also am kind of excited that we don't have to spend the entire season wondering what if, or hearing about how Jordan Love is not comparing to Aaron Rodgers. And that's what that's my bottom line.
Matthew?
Sorry for the rant.
No, it's good.
Matthew?
I mean, honest to God, Fred, I feel like you robbed my brain, because that's the point I was going to make. I was going to say the exact same thing, that I feel like to me, I don't care about the first round pick. Does it suck? Yeah, it does. I'd rather have a first round than the second round. But to me, the big part of the trade was getting Aaron Rodgers out of the organization and removing a larger than life person from a team that's average age is 25 years old. And clearly, I think they're walking on eggshells around him. As great as he is, I just think that, you get to a point where
it's a relief. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then to further that, now that he's not going to be playing this year, to Fred's point, it's not going to be every single week. Well, yeah, how did Jordan Love do versus Aaron Rodgers? And he's going to have to hear about that all year long. And now he doesn't. I just think that that's going to be a little bit of a weight off his shoulder, if it even was one. He probably would tell you not, but I just think not having that noise is big. But to go back to last night, man, I watched that in real time. And frankly, I was completely shocked. I mean, to see that play out, over the course of 10, 15 minutes from the way that game started. I mean, I was making the point to Sanjay before we got live here, was that felt bigger than a Super Bowl. That was loud. The lights were going. I mean, I was like, holy shit.
It was
like,
he's like Mel Gibson bringing that flag in Patriot.
Well, can I say two things about that? About the circus of what last night was, and forgive me, I might be in the minority here, but I mean, the amount of celebrities that came out, it was more than like when Messi came to Miami. Absolutely. But it felt
9/11.
It felt like, okay, but take away that, but it felt a little too much to me, right? This is football. We don't need Jake Paul or Ron Paul or whatever his name is. We don't need whatever weird rap stars with red hair and money. Like it got a little obscene, but I get it, right? It's New York. They need this. I understand that. But here's my thing with the flag, and maybe I'm totally in the wrong here. Listen, the imagery was gorgeous, right? The video, gorgeous. I love my country. I am absolutely patriotic. But that dude never once in the 18 years that he lived and played for Green Bay ever ran a flag out, ever acted like he cared as much about that situation as he did for that cinematic moment to play up to his character. And I don't want to sound petty and kind of whatever, but when I saw that, my first thought was, this is beautiful. And then my second thought was, but you never, ever did anything like that in Green Bay, ever, to any degree. Yeah. And personally, I also believe, and so I brought that up to Ethan today, which happy birthday to my son, Ethan, 17 years old.
Happy birthday, Biggie.
He was like, yeah, but come on, Dad, that was 9/11. It's New York. And I said, okay, I get that. Right. I mean, I understand that, but it felt like he's been doing this for the last 5 or 6 months, right? Playing all these parts, right? Showing up at the games and being friends with the young guys. And he's running out the flag, which he never did. And honestly, if I'm New York Jets, I'm having survivors families from 9/11 run that flag out before I'm having a guy who showed up 2 weeks ago do it. That's my piece on that. Sorry.
I have 2 questions because I have a different side of this whole thing. And it's more of a, and I don't, again, injuries and this whole debate now about the turf. I understand this side of things. I know Bakhtiari was very, vocal about it. So were some of the other players and stuff. But, at the same time too, it's like, there's a lot of these guys that still play, they played on the preseason with it. They played, how many other games, they've been doing it for a long time. So
they play 18, 17 games a season and they're torn ACLs.
And it's not going anywhere, in all honesty, from what I'm gathering, with how stadiums have to make money and revenue and, concerts, all that stuff. It's just easier to maintain.
Well, stop making $2 billion stadiums. We're going to host every fucking thing you can think of. It's
true. There is a caveat to that. Yeah, absolutely. There is a caveat to that where you could be like, no, why do we keep building these? I mean, I get why they're doing it, but you don't have to do that. Look at us. But at the same time, I do have a weird, kind of thing about Aaron Rodgers. And I don't know if this stems all the way to the pick in 2019. I don't know what it has to do about this, because you obviously had this, anger or this, chip on your shoulder. You went and got 2 MVPs. You stuck it to Brian Gutekunst. But was that relationship so fractured that you chose to leave what was a very good situation in Green Bay? I'm talking about the whole thing, maybe minus Mark Murphy because he doesn't know how to shut his mouth. But, no matter what, there was never any, there wasn't the glitz and the glamour, and it was all about football, right? It was always about football here in Green Bay.
Can I make one really quick comment about that? Yep. Did you see the video where Gutekunst is in the tunnel?
Yeah.
I don't think I ever saw that in 18 years.
Never.
I just thought that was strange.
Exactly. Because I'm sure he was. I mean, obviously on the same side of it, maybe Gutekunst was just like, look, I've had enough of it. We gave you all the money in the world. We gave you everything. We said you could come to practice. You could come to training camp. You could do whatever the hell you wanted. You were a god, basically, is what you were.
We'll bring people in for you, whatever you need.
Right. But then here you are. You really wanted out to go to a team that, yes, had a really awesome defense. We saw that on display last night.
Mm-hmm.
But you knew for goddamn sure that offensive line was dog shit.
Yeah.
Do not ever tell me that you were like, yeah,
Well,
Mekhi Becton, let's all love on him because he's going to play really well.
Thank you, Sanjay, for making
ahead,
this
yep.
point, because I want to talk about this.
Yeah.
Is that for forever, through his whole career, it was, well, the Packers don't give him any weapons. They don't give him any weapons. They don't draft any weapons. They don't sign any wide receivers. They don't do shit. Well, guess what they did do? They kept putting around a fantastic offensive line where he never had to pop an Achilles or shit like that.
Yep.
You take that for granted because it's not flashy. It's not the sexy thing to do, but the Packers consistently had a great offensive line.
We gave you the offensive line. Maybe we didn't give you Dalvin Cook, but we gave you an offensive line always to keep you upright. And honestly, they were going to give him back. They were going to bring back because they offered him a contract. They said, here, if you want to stay, we will pay you again. But then he said, obviously, no. So that's fine. And I guess, yeah, in long-term speak, maybe Jordan Love says, I'm out. But we don't know what that would have been. But anyway, I'm just saying that they made the effort. They always gave him the benefit of the doubt. They said, look, you have been our guy. We will put a statue probably up for you. I don't know. We will do whatever for you. And we've done it. And yet here you are. I'm not like trying to like say this is a karma thing or this is like, this is what you get. But like the grass is always goddamn fresh and greener. I'm just saying. Sorry, it's not always fresh and greener because technically you went to turf. But I'm just saying you left a really good situation, and now here you are watching for the rest of the year. Again,
all right, it's two more questions because I know we said we were going to do 10, 15 minutes on this, and here we are at 16. Two quick questions for both of you guys, and then honestly, everybody in the chat, let me hear what you guys think as well. One, what do the Jets do? Do they roll with Wilson, or do they look into some free agency or trade situation for a quarterback? Because they are very much kind of in a weird way built to win, if I can. And then two, is Aaron Rodgers mentally prepared to go through the 12 months of recuperation, rehab, rebuilding? I mean, obviously he's going to have a little bit of okay, the hype was here. It was fun. I want to get back to it. But is he also going to be like, I'm going to be 39. I just don't have it in me to go through all this again. So what do the Jets do? And what does Aaron Rodgers do?
I would answer your first question with another question: is, are they going to run the Aaron Rodgers offense, or they have to just totally strip it down and go back to what they were doing? Because they definitely weren't planning on this obviously happening, and
no, of course.
And now they're going to have to redo, I think, pretty much everything they're probably planning on doing since like April. So, but my gut tells me they're going to stick with
Zach they have two really good running backs.
Absolutely. I think you stick with Zach Wilson. He knows what's going on. He's been there the whole time. You could bring in some mercenary hire, but I just think by the time they get it up to speed, you're toast anyway. So just go with what you got. And then two, what was the second question? I already forgot.
What is Aaron Rodgers' mindset? Like, does he actually want to go through this, or does he just say, this might be it?
I think after all that hype is basically a 2-year process to get to this moment and to go out there and have to happen. I think there's no way he allows himself to go out like that. He's going to come back. He's under contract. He renegotiated it. I think he comes back for one more and tries to give it a go. But it wouldn't shock me if he retired, because they say this is a pretty rigorous recovery at this age and for that type of injury.
Well, absolutely. I mean, that's the thing. He's 38. He'll be 39. He's not like a Rashawn Gary. He's probably got a lot worse, joints, ligaments, things like that he's got to kind of recuperate. There's the other thought process, and this is maybe a little, witchcrafty, but, he's not a huge fan of traditional medicine necessarily. Maybe that helps him, right? Maybe Joe Rogan gives him some secret sauce and he's fine. But I'm just curious to see if, he's like, I want to take the whole year to rehab to come back potentially week 2, 3 next year and make a run. I mean, it kind of plays into.
I'm out on this, man. No, this guy was half in the bag on retirement, man. Like, no, you think he's going to, a 39-year-old? Yeah. I saw the comment, obviously 45. I think like he said he wanted to play into his 45s, but this is a devastating injury. If he doesn't have this injury, maybe maybe you could try to bleed into 45, but now you take the most rigorous step back and trying to get yourself back into football shape and get yourself to whatever mobility you already kind of didn't even have in the first place. Yeah. And now I think the only way he ever comes back is he sees what happens in that offseason and they get him an offensive line. That's the only way.
Has to be. Yep.
I can only see it
they
that
trade,
way.
Bring Bakhtiari in. They trade
that, or you go get every single elephant that there is on the. I don't know what you do,
Yeah.
but that's the only way I can see
What
it.
they need to do is
Come
they need to
back.
hire the Packers front office away and actually be able to draft some. That's what they need
That-
to do.
well,
But,
that
but you
ain't
can't.
They'll
happening
just
either.
they'll
But you
mortgage
can't.
everything for next year,
Yeah.
and then they'll go down
Right.
the shitter for
It's
another
nice
6
when you're a big
decades.
market because you do have that kind of money. And then to the quarterback thing, the only guy I could actually think about, I mean, I'd stick with Wilson, but I think would be Philip Rivers at this point. I don't, because Brady ain't coming back. Maybe I doubt it, but why you think he's going to come back to this offensive line? I don't
He's
think
slower than
anybody
Rodgers.
wants to-
No way.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. That's what I'm saying. Nobody really wants to come back to
I think
this offensive
I think
line.
it's fascinating that you guys are so locked in on like giving it back to Wilson. Like,
Well, I mean, he
mean-
knows the system. At least he's a mobile quarterback, so he can get around all this pass.
Who
rush
can you
that's
really
happening.
get though? Like who could you get?
I know,
Like,
Right.
what's
I mean,
realistic?
I guess I
Matt
just
Ryan,
feel
get him
like-
out of CBS. I mean,
I guess I just feel like you built this up to be such a thing, and it's just
Carson Wentz?
completely fallen.
I mean, here's the thing.
I don't
Before
know.
Brees Hall got hurt last year, they were rolling, man. They were pretty good with
Absolutely.
Zach Wilson. So I feel like if they can lean on their run game and they got that defense, pretty
Hey,
good.
Zach
I mean,
Wilson
they're
was
gonna
able
need-
to
they're gonna
drive and
need a
make
guy
that
like
touchdown
Zach-
pass.
They're
I
going to
mean,
need a guy like Zach Wilson to be able to move because that offensive line is not going to hold up. And then one other thing I want to make a comment about really quick before we move into the actual winners
Yeah, the Packers.
of the NFL.
team we talked about, yeah.
Teams that actually know how to win ball games. Well, I guess the Jets did, but how cool was last week we saw the highlights of Gibson making the team,
Yeah.
and then he goes
thought
and
you said you
returns the
watched
punt to
Hard
win the
Knocks.
game. Well, I saw the clips of that. I mean, I didn't
Oh,
watch
okay,
the
okay.
actual thing. I mean, that was super cool, and that's like one of those moments where
That is really cool.
football
barely
just is
squeezes
awesome.
by on the 53 and then fucking makes
Yeah.
a game winner.
and then makes the
week
game
one.
winner
Yeah,
after
that's pretty
their
sweet.
like savior goes down. I mean, yeah, it was one of those just classic football moments that I love.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's talk about the winners of Sunday. Bears Packers. Lots to kind of unfold here. We'll kind of get into some. I really only want to talk about some duds because I think the overall team performance. It was 4 quarters of football for the most part, at least on all phases. Like everybody contributed in some way, shape, or form. But I think there was a couple people, in my opinion, that we definitely need to talk about as maybe a concern. I get it. There's glory and everything to the Packers at the one. I get that, but there are things that definitely needed to be worked on as well. Definitely sloppiness on the game. A lot of personal foul penalties. I think that can kind of get worked out because it's a rivalry game. It's week 1. It's a team that's been dogging you by people that are not even good anyway.
A lot of
and
emotions.
A lot of
We knew that was
chirping.
going to happen.
Right. So that stuff I can forgive. And hey, big shout out to Quay Walker walking away from any situation. Huge
What a
shout out to him.
boss.
And nice little interception for a touchdown.
Yeah.
But Josh Myers and AJ Dillon. Let's talk about these guys because these are 2 focal points of your offense, and our chat, and I will admit it, I was a little freaking out. I was freaking out in the chat too about Aaron Jones' usage. I think the entire Packer Nation was. Five touches in 1 half, I think it was, all really in the first possession. Really didn't see him ever again in the first half. It was almost like they felt like they needed to and had to give the ball to AJ Dillon in the wrong formations, in the wrong ways. And then even when they did put him in the right formations, he still couldn't even get more than 2 yards. Is the AJ Dillon experiment over?
Yes.
After week 1. I know it's just
Okay,
week
not
1,
yes, not yes, but
Yeah, hold on. That was really quick.
I know. I mean, if I could say about
It's-
Josiah, I would say about Josiah too. But
it's not over, but he needs to start producing like yesterday.
Yeah,
there is a massive drop off of productivity when he comes in the game and spells Aaron Jones. I mean, it's like there's 2 different offenses on the field. I mean, what was the second quarter was when Jones was out? Well, it was no shock that the Packers did nothing for the whole time because they couldn't get anything going on the ground. Granted, they got into some situations where they were behind the sticks and had to throw their way out of it. But I'm kind of tired of them taking snaps away from Aaron Jones and giving them to AJ Dillon because why?
To
Because
keep him fresh, apparently
because
Matt LaFleur said.
What are you keeping him fresh for? I mean, go.
Yeah,
I don't.
He's a goddamn running back. Just run him.
At this point, it's like I'm suiting up Emmanuel Wilson against the Falcons, and I'm giving his
that was
ass
my next question.
half
My
of Dillon's
next
touches
100%.
because I guarantee you he'll come in and look better. And then at what point you can go, okay, Dillon, you're
I don't
number
think AJ Dillon's hungry. I think that guy's more worried about being the mayor of Door County than he does about getting 5 yards. Like, honestly, like Emmanuel Wilson might fight for more yards because he knows he has like one shot at the NFL and this is it. Like that's the one thing I don't like about this guy.
Here's my one caveat about him is sometimes I don't think they use him right. I don't think he's a guy that you sit in shotgun and hand the ball off and get run. I think you got to turn around and hand it to him. And I made the comment the other day or last week or 2 weeks ago that he's a volume runner. I think he gets better as you give him the ball. But you're not going to do that because you have Aaron Jones. So maybe he's just on a scheme fit here. You need to find somebody who's just basically Aaron Jones 2.0 because that seems to be what can wiggle through our offensive line. So I don't know. I'm getting a little bit perturbed when he's coming in and seeing the stagnation take place.
Yeah, I mean it's hard to be excited about him anymore. I mean it's just done. I'm gonna give him obviously a few weeks, right? We got to give it some opportunity. It was the first week.
I'll give him 1 yard line carries. How about that? That's what I'll
absolutely
give him.
Like let's go red zone with it. But I think the most glaring, most obvious thing behind this is Jonathan Taylor.
I know, man. I know.
I'm
not giving you Watson, but I'll give you something.
No, but the team was literally willing to bring in Jonathan Taylor, which is an absolute nail in the coffin to say, hey, we don't believe in Dylan. We don't.
I agree. You give Dylan, Josiah, and a second. Let's get this done.
Just take the trash out to Sanjay.
That's a smooth move, baby. Here's the thing. I mean, I think he's always, we always try to project him as like, oh, he'll be great in December and January.
yeah. It ain't December right now, bro.
He sucks in December and January. So like, I don't get it. And to be honest, like, the problem is maybe this comes down to Gutekunst in his situation is you drafted one running back who's electric but can't stay healthy, and another one who's
just can't
more of a power back but can't do shit. So like I don't know, what do you do?
But he had Eddie Lacy syndrome where his rookie year, like holy shit, this guy's got something. And then that was kind of it.
Yeah, but at least Eddie had a problem. He just ate too much. What's AJ's excuse?
The mayor of Door County is driving too many miles driving back and forth.
Yeah, he's doing too many Twitch streams, Like, I don't know, man. It's just really
I want to see him figured out, though. Let's be real.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. Josh Myers. Stepping on guys' feet, getting in the way, just can't figure it out.
I mean, missing wide open blocks multiple times.
Right.
Multiple times.
It sounds like today they signed Iowa Joe Michael something. His
Michael
teammate,
Jordan.
Is it really?
Yes.
Yeah.
Michael
Jordan.
That's really.
I swear to God.
Oh my God. So signed his teammate as an interior, like I guess depth, kind of signing. Maybe it's kind of to push. Maybe he's a center. Maybe he has some ability at center. I don't know. But I did hear this from someone. I don't know who it was, but the potential of how good is Rasheed Walker, where we could maybe put Rasheed at left guard, you put Elton Jenkins at center, and you just take this asshole out until he can figure it out in practice. But and then you just see what they got, because I don't know, because if Rasheed is some kind of like hidden gem that we maybe just need to kind of like dust off a little bit and then see what he can do. I don't know, man. It's only one guy that we got to plug and play. Let's try it, because at this point, Josh Myers is more of a, liability than he is anything else. But I don't know. What are you guys thoughts?
It's fascinating to me, man. I don't get it, because he was so good at Ohio State. He had a great first year. I thought it was going to be such a smooth transition.
I like that he was like
Lindsley
6'3" or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. From Lindsley to him, I thought it was going to be just beautiful. And I don't know. I honestly, watched him and I feel like, I mean, I pointed out to Ethan a couple times, even Ethan at one point was like, Dad, who the hell is number 71? And I'm like, and Ethan doesn't watch linemen, right? He watches like receivers and stuff. And I'm like, is Josh Myers like, I don't understand what he's doing.
You're not happy about it.
I mean, he's going off in screens. He's going off on run plays, and he's just literally missed.
Useless.
Like, it's him and a guy, and he's here, and the guy comes here, and you're like, what are you doing? Put a body on him.
And the hard part is when they drafted him, they're staring at him and Creed Humphrey.
Yeah,
which one do we take?
That's gonna be
don't
tough.
Bring that
damn,
up.
dude.
You're doing this. You're doing it. TJ Watt, and Kevin King. You're doing that right now.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Don't do that.
I can't help but think about that.
Because now we're gonna say AJ Dillon.
Imagine if we had him,
that guy in second round. Why are these second rounders not panning out? God damn.
I don't know, man.
It's like hit or miss. It's like half of them. Some are good, some are bad. But something's got to be figured out, and maybe it's a Matt LaFleur problem, because you're not giving Jones the ball more. You're keeping these offensive linemen in there that probably shouldn't be in there. But at the same time,
I just think it's
Continuity
funny
is big too. I get
that
it.
he has to be. It's like part of like the cycle of the Aaron Jones thing is he disappears, and then he has to be reminded by the sideline reporter coming out of halftime. It's like, hey, what happened to Aaron Jones?
Yeah,
He's like,
yeah, right.
fuck. Well,
If
we're gonna
I'm
give him the ball
33,
more. I'm like,
if
dude,
I'm
he been
30, I'm standing next to Matt LaFleur the entire game. Anytime I'm out, I'm not even going back to get a water bottle or get my
Put
gold
33
change.
in.
I'm standing next to LaFleur and being like, right here, bro, right here.
Where's
I don't
Aaron
know.
Jones?
You know how
The
Sean
stupid thing
McVay
about
has the
it-
guy? Sean McVay has the guy that kind of pulls
Pulls
him
him
out.
off the side.
This
Yeah.
is, Aaron
Yeah.
Jones is that guy now.
The thing that I don't understand is like, we've talked about this now for 3 years, right? And the 3 years prior to
longer
that,
than
we talked about it
even
with McCarthy.
years. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
it's-
I mean, that's the
like
most jacked up part about it. Like, you have an absolute weapon, you paid the weapon, and then you didn't even use them. And honestly, shout out to this comment too, because he even pulled off on King Henry a little bit back in the early years. And that was the thing. He started trying to like run pass plays and stuff like that. I don't get it. What I don't understand the most out of all of it is that I've always been so convinced that LaFleur's offense is, similar to that San Fran type offense, which we saw a little bit more passing this year at San Fran or this week. But why are you not using him as a weapon? Why? I just don't understand it. And why does it take until the halftime or until you're almost kind of hemorrhaging at the situation to be like, oh yeah, I guess we should probably use this guy. He seems like a pretty good talent.
And it's the first game of the year. I don't want to hear anything about, we're saving him. What do you, it's the first game. And honestly, for his age, I feel like he's a low mileage, older running back. Like he's not been abused here whatsoever.
Yeah, he wasn't used.
So I'm with you guys. Just give him the ball.
Patrick Taylor had 4.6 yards per carry on 5 carries, whereas AJ Dillon had 13 carries for 1.2 yards.
Give him the PT.
Oh my gosh.
Give him the PT.
I'll put Patrick Taylor in there, bro. Like we said, Emmanuel Wilson. All right, let's move on to some good stuff. All right, first off, big shout out to Anders Carlson, 52-yarder.
Hey, yeah.
Didn't miss any extra points. Pretty awesome for him just to go in this moment in a hostile environment, on the road. And then kick these out of the freaking stadium, basically. I mean, the guy, you know what? He's got some good composure. I really like it. Fred was ready to kick him out of town, and I'm glad he's proving him wrong.
Give him some chances, man.
No, but I know people are all like, "Ooh, number 2 is still available." Like what? I mean, no. You know what?
Number 2 can't get far anymore.
I like this 25 year old like average age kind of thing. I like it. I really do. It's something nice. And by the way, little side chat. Where was Big Dog? Did anybody see Big Dog in that game? Because I
didn't hear his name mentioned. Did he even suit up?
I don't know. That's what's
I
kind of
didn't
weird.
hear Big Bob. Did he play?
What?
Or EQ? I didn't hear any one of their names.
No, Big Bob was inactive.
Yeah.
Big Bob was inactive.
Okay.
So,
but
anyway, yeah.
But no, I mean,
you
won't be surprised if the Jets are calling Big Dog next year to help protect.
What? Be their left tackle because they can't find one?
Might have to be.
Hey, can you bulk up?
He'd add 50 pounds.
Let's talk about Jordan Love. Big moment for him. Obviously, I love that they had to really feature his mom for the first 10 minutes. Good for her that she got some good seats from Justin Fields.
Give it up for Mama Love, dude. Give it up for Mama
Give it
Love.
up for Justin Fields, man. Give him some tickets. Thanks for letting us beat your ass, but then give us
the Chiefs.
But Jordan Love, man,
Did
really awesome to see. Yeah, what?
No, I was just gonna say. So I had a couple things that I wrote down that I thought were, and they're not mine at all, which is even cooler.
Shocker. Plagiarism.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Whatever. But I thought these were super interesting, and it's a huge shout out to what's his face on what is it? Football in the morning football.
Good morning football.
Good morning football.
Kyle
yeah.
Brandt.
Kyle Brandt. Yeah. So
Hey.
Kyle Brandt read off that he read off his little thing that he did this morning. And I thought it was fascinating. And I think it's something we should I just want to say a couple of things that he brought up, because I think it's things that we have taken for granted and or forgot about how important they are. So a couple quick things. One, we started the game with a touchdown, right? So we did not lose out on that first drive. We ended the first half with a touchdown. That's huge. We also started the second half with a touchdown. Those are huge, huge momentum plays for us. 60% on third down, massive. 100% on fourth down, massive. 100% in the red zone, haven't been there in a few years. And then on the defensive side, Fields threw 37 passes. 3 of those traveled 10 yards in the air. 3 of them went to DJ Moore, who they traded the number 1 overall pick for. And now they've officially lost 11 straight games. That's all I want to talk about.
And they're still talking junk.
That's why I said in the beginning of the show, man, it's a dog shit franchise. That's what the Chicago Bears is.
Garbage.
It's just not like
the number 1 pick for a potentially washed up receiver.
It's like that
Like,
little
you
brother
could've
that
done something
only
else.
wants to imitate you in every way, and then he doesn't succeed in it, and then he's like bitter till he's like 60 because he still couldn't be that. He's always just like that's what they are. It's not about George Hallis and Curly Lambeau anymore. It's not anything like that. It's not
exactly.
It is.
So
it is
true.
now. We live our shadow of 86 Bears. It's, when we had the time, when we had Cutler, we had a good one. Or, Kyle Orton beat you guys in 2018 or whatever the hell that year that was. It's like they live so much into the past that they forget that in the present, you're an idiot. Like you're an absolute idiot. You keep trying to get these guys in there like Ryan Poles. That was cute. Oh, you came in, you had this like attitude, and now you're going to go get up. Yeah, it helps when you have a shit ton of money and you have a lot of good draft picks, even though you kind of screwed that up because you probably should just taken the best player available at number 1 instead.
Let me ask you one question, guys.
Yeah,
We've been around this for a long time. When's the last time you saw someone trade the number 1 pick? Legitimately.
Well, Washington.
But for a player.
Oh, the Rams? Know. Wait, what? Who was it that traded their first overall pick to? Yeah, you're right. Probably nobody. I'm
just saying it's probably happened.
You're right. It's been a long time, if anything.
The fact that that Chicago did it, and then they did it for a guy like DJ Moore, not like Jamar Chase or Justin Jefferson or anybody that they're like, this is a guy we can build our franchise around. This was like, we're just looking for like a number 1 receiver who's probably in like the 15 to 25 range in the NFL. And that's on a good side.
The receiver can't catch the ball by himself.
Yeah,
he can't throw it to himself.
Stupid of a situation could that be? Like if I'm trading the number 1 pick, I'm saying, okay, I'm going to trade him for like this offensive lineman or this receiver that's going to absolutely change our situation. Not for like just a basic receiver. Like it just
I'm not even trading for a receiver. Why don't you just be better in the draft? Why can't we get guys in the second, third, fourth round?
The fact of the matter is that Justin Fields just isn't that good. You can put whoever you want at wide receiver. It's not going to matter because guess what? He's not that good. He can run. He's got electric legs. He's got great vision when he's running the ball. But we have 2 years and a game on this guy, and nothing is impressive about his passing. So
side question though, Matthew.
Yeah.
Is this a Luke Getsy problem?
No. I mean, maybe some of it.
Are they putting too many training wheels on him?
Well, here's the thing: if the Bears, I think they want him to pass the ball, but it's like they also know, hey, we could have you run around with your head cut off, and we'll probably win some games, and you'll have some great highlights. But we all know that translates to nothing in the end. You're not going to win a Super Bowl. You're not going to be a legitimate contender. So the Bears need to look at themselves in the mirror and say, is he ever going to be a pocket passer? The answer is probably no. Or maybe just a full blown put all the chips into him just being a runner and go, dude, do whatever you got to do to make the play happen.
Here's the other thing. Here's the other thing. When's the last time we've seen a predominantly running quarterback be successful besides Michael Vick?
I mean, Lamar, but it's
continuously. No, but continuously. More than
Mike Vick's, to me, the one that was
Lamar Jackson had like 1 or 2 dynamic years, but then he's been injured and there's been a lot of question marks. That being one thing.
Not
the second thing is, when have we seen an Ohio State quarterback be successful in the NFL?
Exactly.
Don't worry, I
have no faith
because there's none.
That isn't.
And I just feel like when teams draft these running quarterbacks from the collegiate level, and granted, yes, he's dynamic, all that goodness, it just doesn't transpire to the NFL. And especially when you bring him into a shit organization with a shit roster and a shitty coaching staff that changes every single year, these guys are done. Look at their faces. Look at every single one of those players come the third, fourth quarter, and then post game. I mean, the post game with Justin Fields was like, yeah, man, I'm just sorry. Like, it's like there's no energy whatsoever.
There's no culture. There's no culture to that team.
No, and let's highlight the group, by the way, that made his day miserable. That interior defensive line of the Packers was in his face the whole game. The whole game. Slayton, Wyatt.
Shout out to Van Ness getting his big sack.
That sack was killer.
I mean, those guys absolutely dominated up front. And I've always been curious about, God, the Packers have kind of foregone like going the whole Bosa route and just doing the super speedy edge rushers. They've gone for just big dudes who are going to throw your ass around and are still pretty fast. And the case in point, the play you guys just called out was Lucas Van Ness running down Justin Fields and throwing him like a rag doll out of bounds.
Faster.
I loved it.
Faster than him. Completely own that situation. I agree. Let me ask a question though. Are we getting too excited about that because of a dog shit Chicago Bears offensive line?
We are.
Partly, but yeah, go ahead, Sanjay.
I just think, well, I'm just saying, like, the Falcons might be a little bit better test. You're going to see some more skilled players, but the problem is it's like another really inexperienced quarterback at the helm. They had a nice little victory against a pretty weak team in the Panthers. I think they're still a year or two away.
I don't buy into them at all.
It's like, I think the Saints game, home opener, I think that will be the true test against a quarterback that's seen a lot. That has, that's an offensive line that's probably a little bit more decent, and a defense that's probably decent. Like that's probably our true test. Now we don't get to see Kamara, but yeah, I think the hype is a little bit too much. I love it though, because it's like, look, the amount of work that they put in, they've done preseason games, they've built this culture, they got that monkey off their back in Aaron Rodgers. He's out of town. Like that relief, like you said at the beginning of the show, you've never seen Brian Gutekunst in the goddamn tunnel.
Yeah,
never in our lives have we seen that. Now, maybe they've never got the footage of it, but still, I've never seen it. And that to me speaks volumes. These are his guys that he's drafted, minus Bakhtiari, whatever, but still, this is like his molded team, and he gets to see it go get a victory on the road in this fashion. I mean, they should have had 40 plus points, in all honesty. They probably should. Yeah. If they get their crap together in the first half, maybe get a couple more drives, that they should have been doing, that's 40 some points. We'd be talking maybe even a 50 burger.
The reason why I'm cool with like shouting out and being super hyped about the D line is we've played a lot of subpar offensive lines, and we've still not gotten pressure like that. Just to see that over and over and over again, and I can't not shout out Rashawn Gary as like 10 snaps, 5 pressures. Like, wait until this guy, they take the wheels off him and just go, you get to play the whole game. He is going to be unbelievable next to Lucas Van Ness and moving P around. So,
and this was against the best scrambling quarterback outside of probably Lamar Jackson. So you're telling me the rest of our games, you think there's going to be mobile quarterbacks like that? Not like that. And we were so close. I mean, that's what makes
how many sacks did we almost have?
That's what I'm saying. That's what makes Justin Fields special, is his ability to get out of stuff. But in the end, the pressure was so awesome. I would love to know what our pressure rate was. Joe or Andrew, if you know what our pressures were.
It's just nice for our team to get that first win, that first confidence booster to go into the season, because you're right. I mean, it's not going to get easier. It's going to get harder. Teams are going to start to adapt. Teams are going to start to manipulate, do things that they need to do to win games. And we will as well. But I think it's important for us to kind of go into that first game, be, relatively dominant on both offense and defense, and to kind of go into then Atlanta with some confidence, not only in your quarterback, but in your defense to kind of do what they need to do. This
is a nice little thing. I'm so glad we didn't get him either.
Yeah. Let me ask you guys this. I mean, that defense looked different. They looked faster. They looked intense. They looked like they were into it. I thought it was a just night and day difference. And if they can keep that type of intensity throughout the year, I mean, really,
it starts up front, man.
Yeah,
it really
100%.
Does. If you can get edge play and up front.
Yeah, I think Wyatt progressing has been humongous.
Big.
I think TJ Slayton,
Kenny Clark was all over the place.
Kenny Clark is always going to be great. And then to see, honestly, I'll be the first to admit that I was not the most hyped on the Van Ness thing, but he sure does seem like he's got something to him. And I don't think it's going to be always technical, but it's just going to be motor-esque.
Brute force. Like Gary 2 years ago, man. It's slowly progressed. There's no rush,
He can wear down those tackles. I think.
And I think Barre, man, good for him keeping it up. And we still haven't even mentioned Brent Cox. He hasn't even suited up yet. And we have another guy still kind of in the, in the factory waiting to kind of get out. So really
one
big
more
shout
guy.
out. Yeah.
We've all dogged this guy. Savage had himself.
I have
again.
not. I have not.
I have.
I mean, he's still dog shit, but
I've been the one that's been like, I've been the one that's been like, dude, Savage. I love him. I wish he would be. And I shouldn't say that. I've said that he's been garbage, but I've been so hoping that he would be good. And I thought he played arguably one of the
maybe one of his best games.
player on defense, like the
Yeah.
entire game.
I mean, he sees all these other DBs balling it out. He knows like his time is short. He needs to step up.
To your point too, that you said a little bit before, Barry, I think we saw it like mid-season, early first quarter of the season last year, where the zone thing wasn't working. He switched over to man. He saw the progression there. He kept that into this game, let Jair play that man coverage. And it shows that it works because we're young, we're quick, we're fast, we're feisty. And if we're going to play and be successful, we have to run that type of defense. Otherwise, we're going to get burned if we try to like sit in zone. Like, who was it? Who played Minnesota? I'm blanking right now in my head.
Tampa.
Buccaneers.
Tampa played zone against Kirk for like dang near the whole entire game, and you just picked it apart. You just can't play zone.
Didn't you guys
anymore.
watch us play them week 1 last year?
Absolutely.
That's
what I'm saying.
of that. They didn't. Yeah.
Zone cannot happen anymore.
And I think, probably gone are the days, even though Dallas did it. Are you going to zip somebody? Are you probably going to zip someone to like less than 10 points a game? Like those days might be gone in this kind of new era NFL. But, at the same time,
unless you're the Cowboys, just to give the Cowboy fans enough to think they're going to go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Then just
I'm not going to lie. There was a lot of times where I thought this defense was going to be like, oh, crap, because they were driving. They bent. They didn't break, though. Held them to either field goal or they got a big turnover or, held them on a 3-and-out. I mean, they did something. So that was huge for them.
Shout out to the fact that we were offensively as stable as we were without a guy that absolutely stretches the defense, Christian Watson. I thought that was impressive as well.
Big time. Jaden Reed. I like this guy, man. I think he's good.
I love him.
I think this guy has a nastiness to him. I think he's got more effort than Chase Claypool does, and he's half his size.
Oh my God.
And you know what? I like the dog in him trying to go up for a ball, a 50-50 ball. He did get hurt for like a little cramp. It looked like came back.
I shit my pants when it happened. I thought he blew his knee out. I'm like, oh my God, no way.
He's kind of got that. And I know this is going to be like a super unfair thing. And everyone's going to be like, no, that's not even close. But he just, to me, kind of has that early sense Tyreek feel to him in his quickness, in his speed, and his ability to go up and get the ball with kind of a fearless attribute. Now, I'm not saying he's going to be Tyreek Hill. I'm not saying he's going to be as fast as Tyreek Hill. Do not get me wrong, but just his similar traits in how he runs his routes, how he breaks his routes, and his similar like quickness, speed, and I feel like is just there. And
he overcomes his size.
Yeah.
He overcomes his size. He goes up and gets it, and somebody called him out, but
for him either. Like for a rookie, like it's really nice to see. And I think that's just the culture that you've created with these young guys all growing together. And it's like there's not going to be this quarterback that gives you a glare because you did a wrong route or you did this wrong.
Or like you don't have a Devontae, and this isn't a knock on Devontae, but like you don't have the Devontae where you're like, well, I hope someday I'm like him. Like you just are all out there.
You just gotta be
I forgot who wrote the article, and forgive me, but they basically, it might have been PFF or somebody, but they basically said last year they talked to Romeo Dobbs, like the end of training camp or during the season. They asked him, do you think Aaron Rodgers trusts you? And he said, I don't know. I don't know if he does. They show up this year, asked them the same question again. Does Jordan Love trust you? He said, yeah, he trusts me. I think he trusts me. Like, I just think that Rodgers made all of them, I don't know, just nervous, I guess. So
anxiety,
right?
They don't want to screw up.
Now.
It's a Hall of Famer. Like I get it, but like, and best hands in the team right there. Best hands probably in the nation. Arguably, like this guy might be something special. And I was actually, hoping it would be because usually it's always the first rounder, like we mentioned before. Sorry, I get high second rounder. But it's kind of nice that Romeo might be the silent star here for this team until Christian Watson can stay healthy. And
I said early on when we first drafted him, I said, I'll guarantee you that Romeo ends up being.
You did.
You did. I remember that.
And I hope that's not true. I mean, I hope Christian Watson, because I do think Christian Watson's electric, but I think that what we're going to see is what we're seeing now. And I think it's going to be a lot of 1-2 games.
Dobbs is going to be the consistent one.
Yes.
And
it's going to kind of remind me of like Brooks and Freeman, honestly.
Freeman,
yes, that's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah. To wrap up the game, I think just one thing that I want to see a little bit from the coaching staff is time management, man. Why is that always that halftime blowing 25 seconds or whatever it was? Like, what are we doing? Like we could have called one more play. Like I think if it's Rodgers, Rodgers always controlled that 2-minute drill, and I think this was a lot of LaFleur controlling it, and I think it was a lot of like, hey, I'm looking at the sidelines because I'm trying to figure. Like I think that will come over time, and hopefully, Jordan Love gets comfortable in that, and then. The situation with Aaron Jones, obviously, I hope they use him more. Hopefully that's a thing. And then also this taking the foot off the pedal, though. Like, that still is bothering me a lot. Like you have these times where you get them to a 3-and-out, and they're really, really like that defense is tired. They're exhausted. And yet here you go, 4 straight runs or whatever, 3 straight runs. And it's just like, okay, we're going to pack it in. Like, no. This is people that have been dogging you all freaking off season, saying that you ain't shit. Your fans suck. Put it on them. This isn't like a pity thing. If you want to put up 50 on Matt Eberflus, then put up 50 on Matt Eberflus. I don't give a shit. If you can't stop us, then freaking learn how to play football. That's what I've always said about this shit.
When they called that timeout towards the end of the game, down 18, I was like, just kick the field goal and put the 40 burger on them. You want to start the clock? Fine, I'm kicking the field goal. I'm scoring 40 points. The hell with you.
It's just always this like conservative mindset. Sometimes it's just like, and I don't know if it's like hey, let's not go crazy with our players. It's week 1. I see the arguments towards it, but it says also at the same time, isn't this also more building your offense and seeing what you have and watching this offense grow, because it still has a lot of issues. I do think this offense has a lot more things that they need to work out. I mean, Musgrave has to learn how to run routes correctly, turn his body a little bit better. Same thing even with Jaden Reed too. But Jordan Love needs to see these reps more and more, especially against a team that you're probably going to beat. So just keep running things. You don't have to give away all your secret plays, but keep running your offense.
But I think, for us, like we all were pregame, like, I had the fear of the unknown. I'm confident. I think I'm not really sure to win that game 38-20, like was far exceeded any expectations. I had.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I think that's the encouraging part, is that, to your point, Sanjay, is that they have all this room to grow, but in the process of that, they're still going to be competitive. We just are going to have to deal with some of the growing pains along the way.
We'll get there. We'll get there. We're not the 3-14, Bears. I don't think that's our output. I don't think we're the 11-6, whatever. But I do think there's something in between that we could possibly see. Maybe they exceed that. Maybe we are I think you guys had us at 10 or 11 wins in our predictions. Maybe we do hit that. I don't know, but for now, I think it's good to see. Let's move on to the Falcons at Atlanta, the ATL, down south. The other young team, a lot of speed on that roster. I really hope Quay Walker can play, because Kyle Pitts could be a problem. That's always been a chronic. Obviously Bijan, and I think the one thing that that kind of excites me is knowing that I'm not really scared of Desmond Ridder. Really, Drake London. I'm not really afraid of Drake London because we got the best secondary probably. But I am a little concerned about the short, immediate stuff and the wrapping up. There was a few times in the Bears games it just felt like we just weren't wrapping up correctly. Now, granted, that's week 1 jitters or whatever, but I'm hoping. I think this might be a big game for the safeties, dropping in, maybe covering guys like a Kyle Pitts. Or coming down and getting a Bijan Robinson. Like, these guys are electric. It wants to get the ball. So that's going to be a big test.
Yeah. This is an interesting game because the Falcons have just been completely off my radar for like 2 or 3 years. And, they've just been so bad and irrelevant, maybe more than that. Let's call it 5.
Right.
So really my view of them is just sort of the last year or two and a lot of the additions they made, and they have added some really quality playmakers on offense. They just don't have the QB to go with it. And I think maybe on defense, they've got a few guys, but I'm not too sure. But this game really screams to me, tackling, Sanjay, you just made the point, is that they're going to have some guys that are really capable of breaking your ankles or getting out of, tackles. And I think they're going to use that intermediate passing game. They're going to try to, quick slant or quick outs or wide receiver screens, etc., and try to get their guys in space and make a miss. I have a lot of confidence in guys like Jair to make open field tackles. I feel like they do it pretty routinely. Where I'm a little nervous is maybe the safety play. So like you said, Sanjay, the safeties will be pretty big in this one. And it feels like if you can get up on them a little bit and make them have to go away from Bijan and Cordell Patterson and make Ridder throw the ball, I think that's the ticket to it right there. Is if you can put them in the hands of him, and you're gonna be okay. Yeah. So I don't know, man. Like it's again another game. Like I'm not sure what we're gonna get out of the Falcons, but we'll see.
Yeah, I don't have any fear with it. I mean, more fear than I did with Chicago. I'll give you that much. I do think playing in Atlanta obviously offers a whole new electric feeling to it. Desmond Ridder doesn't scare me. I mean, Bijan, I didn't know if I believed the hype. That one run that he had,
dude, what was that?
Pretty impressive. Hard to hate on that. Drake London, was it Mac Hollins? I mean, they're not really anything too special. I do like Pitts. I think they have Jonnu Smith too. I mean, he was
but
a guy.
They barely use him. You know, they barely. use
they
these
don't
guys.
use him nearly as much as they
Drake
should.
London, 0 catches.
Yeah, and I think their defense, their defense is a bunch of old names, right? There's a couple of young guys, a couple pieces.
Is Grady Jarrett still on the team? I would, Joe. Find out who the entire defensive roster is for the Atlanta Falcons.
I think Grady Jarrett's there. They have like Calais Campbell, who's got to be at least like 80 years old at this point. I think they have Bud Dupree. Jeff Okuda,
Grady Jarrett is still there. Guy. Grady Jarrett's
Jeff Okuda is another one of their corners.
It's like a graveyard of guys that were good.
They signed
Jesse Bates a bunch of guys that were something. The two guys that I think are good, that are legitimate, Jesse Bates at safety, and then AJ Terrell, the corner they drafted a couple years ago, very good player. But that's it. We're talking into the secondary. I think their front seven is just like, again, take me back to 2015. It's a different ball game right now. Not that big of a deal. So I'm not that worried about it. I would like to see where Watson is in the situation. I'd like to see Aaron Jones come out quick. But yeah, I guess I'm not too worried about it. But what I will say is that I don't think we can necessarily go into any game without just genuinely being understanding that there will be mistakes. There's going to be a game
there's no guarantees this year.
There's going to be a couple rough ones. And I think, and I'm not complaining about this at all, because I'm very happy of how week 1 started. But I think, unfortunately and I'll call them the common fan, there was a little bit of, we're the shit again. And let's just hold off a little bit on that. Let's see a couple games go through here. Like Sanjay mentioned earlier, and I think like we all talked about at one point, the Saints game is going to be a big one. And I think that will be our most true test. But I'll tell you what, if you can go into that home opener against New Orleans Saints
2-0
without Alvin Kamara, with being 2-0, absolutely
gonna be electric.
It's an opportunity.
That's the thing too. It's like this offense is growing together, and I feel like they've had so many more reps than the Falcons have. Hell, even Derek Carr with his guys. Like this is like a kind of been a built up thing where, Jordan Love was running with the twos and he's running with the rookies, or when he had the offseason to himself because or Aaron Rodgers didn't want to show up. Like this has been a thing that's been kind of, being created. And so
I've said, he's not a rookie quarterback
place, and he's
not a rookie quarterback.
No, right.
4th year quarterback.
Right. Exactly. So I do think let's get some predictions here. Let's I don't know did you guys do predictions last week? Did you guys
we did
pick the wins? Yeah. Okay. Good. So Matthew, why don't you kick us off here?
Okay. Oh, last week, I think I said, Fred, 24-21. So I thought we'd win
20-something.
I feel like, this team's a little bit different. And I've always thought that LaFleur teams, for the most part, travel well. I think the Packers have the better roster. I still think we're going to be able to control the definitely defensive line, but can we tackle Bijan? And on the other side, can the offensive line stay up and do what they did against the Bears? So I fully expect to see kind of a similar game, maybe a little bit slower start, not come out with the fireworks, but as the game goes, that defense wears them down a little bit. We get the ball back more. Offense can get Aaron Jones worked. Maybe they incorporate, some Emmanuel Wilson or PT a little bit more running the ball. But I don't know, man. I feel like, we're in a little bit of I don't want to say a groove, but it's a nice start. They looked, decent coming out of the preseason. So I don't know. I just think the Packers are going to win this one. I'm going to say 27-21. I'll go with 27-21. Sounds good to me.
Yep. I think it's pretty. It sounds great. I was giggling because I feel like we always are way too damn close, and it bothers me.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the same thing. I think it's going to be a pretty good game. I think we're going to see a little bit of a spring in Atlanta at one point, maybe a little breakdown with Bijan Robinson. I think they'll be up 24-20 at one point. I don't say 24-21, I'll say. And And I think we score a late touchdown. Jordan Love gives us a late drive to win the game 28-24.
Ooh.
Love it.
All right, you know what? I'm just gonna like kind of sit here. I'm just gonna throw this out here.
Let's go.
We scratched the surface. We scratched the surface against the Bears.
Berg?
And I don't think this defense is that good. I really don't. And I think this offense is growing. I think, I mean, obviously, if Aaron Jones doesn't play, this is a whole different prediction.
He's playing. He's playing.
Yeah, right. But I'm not going to sell Atlanta short. I think it's going to be basically like a 41, 42 point game, and they're going to score 28 points. I think this offense has the
shootout.
I think it has the excitement and it has the skill. It's at home. Bijan is obviously, something that people haven't really game planned for yet. So it will be kind of a test for Joe Barry to see what kind of adjustments he makes at half. Maybe they get a couple scores early in the first half. Maybe it's 14-10 to start out. But I think the Packers are a second half team, and I think they're just going to run rampant on them. They are. So I do think this is a 40-burger
not in the playoffs.
Game. And you know what? I think a big part of that's going to be Anders Carlson. Now you're in a dome. Let's see what he does in a dome. I think this is an interesting portion of it as a kicker. How do you like that kind of environment? So let's see. It's going to be a lot louder in Atlanta compared to Chicago, probably. So I think this is a good W for us. I do think, I'm feeling confident with this one. I was a little nervous maybe going into the season, but the Falcons, to me, I think they have a lot to learn too. I think this is a big moment for both teams. Just kind of like last week, two young teams that are trying to figure things out. I just think Matt LaFleur is a better coach than Arthur Smith. That's another thing too. Like, who's calling their offense? Arthur Smith? I'm not really buying it. He doesn't have
a better roster.
But watch out. Tyler Algier and him and Bijan together was a really nice little tandem. They were the best running team last year. And last week, the Bears didn't get much running against our defense. So if we can shut down their run game,
front seven
could be a front 7 game.
Big time.
Yep.
Well, folks, that's all we got for you guys. Thank you so much. Obviously, spending a Tuesday evening with us at 8:00. Nice little, nightcap for you guys to end your evening. Come back with us next week, and we'll probably, hopefully, talking about a victory Tuesday. Obviously. With that being said, I'm Sanjay. That's Matt. That's Fred. Go.
Go Pack. Go, baby.
Go.